Hello, everyone. Eva Medilek here, and I have something on my mind today. And I just came back from Las Vegas. I was speaking on some panels and receiving an award. It was just a fabulous time. But I want to talk to you about your assumptions and the stories that you make up about things and situations and actions and words based on the facts. We're all human beings and we all have wonderful, wonderful imaginations based on our past life experiences. And a lot of times we make up stories that move us away from the facts and into biases, if you will, unconscious biases based on our lived experiences. And I noticed myself doing it today, and I read something on Facebook where someone else was doing it, and I thought, you know what, this would be something good to talk about today. So as I was doing my morning walk, I was coming down my street and I noticed across the street there was a gentleman and his dog, and the dog was pooping, which when you go out early in the morning, there's always people walking their dogs and their dogs are pooping. And he was standing there, and then I got to a point where he was blocked from my view from a tree, and then I saw him again. And I didn't notice him pick up the poop. And so immediately a thought went in my mind, like, what a horrible person, because I've had people leave their dog poop in my driveway in front of my car door and not pick it up. And my immediate thought was, I'm going to take a picture of this dude. I'm going to do like a neighborhood watch out for this guy. He doesn't pick up his dog's poop when the dog poops in the yard. And then I caught myself. I'm like, okay, there was a moment of time where you didn't see anything. Maybe he picked it up and you didn't notice it. Maybe, like my dog does a lot of time, there's a lot of fake poop action going around until they find the right spot, and it looked like he was pooping and he didn't. The only way for me to get to the facts would be to go over to that spot to see if there was a fresh pile of poop that wasn't picked up. But of course, I wasn't doing that. I was like, nobody's going to break my stride. I was doing my morning power walk, right? But what I did notice was how quickly my mind jumped to assumptions. I still believed that there was poop there and he didn't pick it up. But if I had taken action on my assumptions without getting all of the information for the facts, I could have, so many things could happen. You can destroy people's reputations. You can ruin their lives. You can cause a lot of harm to people by focusing on your assumptions or your unconscious biases. So that's just one example. And another example I saw today, and I think I can share my screen on here. Let me go on share screen. Where is it? I'm looking for where I can share my screen on this. But anyway, I was on Facebook today. Oh, it's a window. Here it is. I got it. So this is what I saw on Facebook today. This was a photo I saw on Facebook. The caption was, they had just one job. So you can see they were labeling the floors. I don't know. It looks like an elevator. You can't be sure. Basement is B. The 1st floor is 1. The 2nd floor, 2. 3rd floor, 3. 4th floor, 4. Okay. And, I think this is pretty funny, right? But here's the assumption that I noticed when this person was making this post on Facebook was like, they had just one job. Just one job. How do you know? How do you know that that person had one job? We had an assumption that that was all that this person had to do. that day or for this task. That was all they had to do. And because of that, we made an assumption. So based on the facts, all we know is that there's no such thing as one tooth and three and there was a mistake made, or that's incorrect, improper grammar, I guess you would call it. I don't know. But the assumptions that people, I'm sure a lot of people are looking at this, maybe having an assumption about the person's intelligence, you know, maybe it was, maybe it was done on purpose to see if people would notice and be funny. We don't know the story behind this labeling, but we certainly, our imagination is running wild with the story behind how this happened. So what I want to share with you to help you today is a framework. It is a conceptual framework that actually illustrates how quick we are to jump to conclusions or assumptions based on our life experience, our assumptions, our interpretations. And it is work done by Harvard professor Chris Argyris, and he calls it the ladder of inference. And if you imagine a ladder, right, and all the steps or the stairs on a ladder going up, an actual ladder, there's rungs on a ladder, right? And so how this works is at the base of the ladder, you have the facts, the observable facts and the data, right? And it's just what happened. What are we seeing? What are we noticing? What do we know to be true? And then what our brain actually does is we select certain aspects of that data. So we pull out certain aspects of it, and then we make assumptive meanings. And this is all we're going up the next run. We pull out certain aspects, we make assumptive meanings, we draw conclusions from our assumptions, then we adopt beliefs about our conclusions, and then we take at the very top, we take action based on our beliefs. Here's what we need to know and what's important for us. We need to be aware of our unconscious bias and stereotypes that cause us to climb up that ladder. And some of us fly up that ladder really fast. Some of us really take one step at a time. Well, this is not proper grammar to number these floors. This person had one job and they couldn't do it right. They must be dumb. They must be an idiot, or, whatever we're making up. And so we've got to notice as we get to the very top of the ladder, when our actions are based on a story that we created about the facts. And so you've got to pause for a second, like, okay, what do I know to be true? How do I get back down the ladder to that first rung, if you will, to just the observable data or facts? And so how do we do that? How do we do that? Now that we've created the story and we're convinced our story is true, I'm convinced that that man didn't pick up the dog poop, and that, he's a jerk for not doing that because he's leaving it on people's private property. I'm convinced, without actually going over there to see, did the dog actually poop? Or did he do like my Lexi does sometimes and just struggles a little bit and then nothing comes out, all right? So that's what you have to do. You have to pause. The first thing is pause. It's a PLA formula, if you will, that you can use when you find yourself making up stories about the facts. So just pause, take a breath, notice the story, notice your reaction to your interpretation of the story, and then ask yourself, are you reacting based on your assumptions and the story that you're creating? What are you assuming about the facts? And so once you pause and take a breath and say, okay, what do I know is true? Then you can start lowering yourself back down the ladder to the data or the facts. Like, what did the other person actually say or do? Before I jump to conclusions, let me get into the self-awareness, similar to what I did when I saw that person this morning with the dog person. Like, hold on. until I go over there and do some real investigative reporting, I don't know if there's actual poop there, right? So before you jump to conclusions, what are the facts, right? And then I get to examine my own thought process. And then the third thing, that's the P and the L, pause, lower, and then thirdly, you want to ask. That's the A, PLA. So you want to get curious before getting furious. Now, if I had put on my curiosity hat, I would have crossed the street, actually seen what happened, and then maybe asked the man, hey, do you need a poop bag? Maybe you didn't have one. Maybe you ran out in that little roll that's attached to the thing. I would have gone over there and saw for myself before making assumptions of what I think I saw. And then what questions could you ask to get the other person's perspective? Whatever the situation, for the person who had poor grammar, I guess, in labeling these floors, before we make assumptions that was the only job, you can ask questions like, hey, what's going on here? I'm noticing that, the 1st floor, the 2nd floor, and the 3rd floor, that's not proper. What's happening? And just be curious. What else could this mean? We need to see clarity before making assumptions and intentions or about other people's intentions or motives. We need to get clarity first, and then we can engage in open, constructive dialogue so that we get to see what's going on with the other person first, and we can help mitigate our unconscious bias. So that's what I wanted to share with you this morning, because we do it all the time. It's unconscious. We make up stories, we have assumptions, and we make meanings about it. Now, some people, I'll notice, don't like you questioning them. But before you jump to conclude, and it's how you question them, and that's actually for another day. But before you jump to conclusion, bring yourself back down to the facts. And if you need more clarity, ask questions to get clarity. All right, that's what I have for you today. I hope you can take this, apply this to your life so that you can be a more conscious listener and not react to things based on the story in your head. Have a great day, everybody.